Hi everyone, welcome to Voice in the Alexander Technique. I'm Allison Taylor, and today we're going to explore some spinal movement. So I'm with you here on the floor in the hopes that you will join me. Maybe you will grab your yoga mat if you want to protect your knees. We're going to come into a crawl or creep position, a hands and knees position. So you can pause the video here if you need to get a blanket or a mat to put under your knees and under your wrists. So I've done some movement work where we've done some spinal exploration. Your spine is so fluid, right? So there are discs between each of the vertebrae to allow a cushioning so that your spine can be flexible. And sometimes when we think of good posture, even in singing, right, like putting ourselves in a good posture shape, there can be a rigidity or a static quality to being in that good posture shape. So I love any exploration that allows my spine to be fluid and flexible. So today, the one we're going to explore together is a very short exploration inspired by one of my mentors, Babette Lightner. You can check out her work at Wholeness in Motion, and she does a lot of movement work with singers and singing. So check that out if that interests you. Okay, so let's all come to an all fours shape. And just take a moment in this shape just to play around with pushing the floor with your hands. So just press your hands into the floor and move your hands closer to your knees and further away from your knees. Find the place where you can feel your push coming up into your torso to support you. And if that doesn't make sense, just keep playing around with, where do I feel like I have the most support for my whole self? Where does that make sense for my hands and knees to be? So once you find that place, I want you to just slacken through your belly. Let your belly kind of just fall and hang, and maybe let your head kind of fall as well. So maybe you can even hear in my voice, there's a little bit of a strain here. There's a pull. So I kind of have no integrity in my torso, as Babette says. And now I want you to come out of that. Imagine that you have a double-headed dragon. So imagine that there's a dragon head out in front of your head, out in front of the crown of your head, and a dragon head coming out your tail. And see what it's like to let those dragon heads move away from each other with equal and opposing energy. The other way to find this integrity in the torso, it's not a holding in or a sucking in of your belly, but just a knitting through the whole center. Another way that helps us avoid the alignment word is to imagine all of the horizontal diaphragms of your torso being in line with each other. So we have this horizontal at the pelvic floor. We have this horizontal at the thoracic diaphragm, so the diaphragm up inside the rib cage. We have this horizontal plane in the throat, which is the vocal folds, right? Running front to back, creating a horizontal diaphragm through the throat. The bottom of the mouth, the roof of the mouth, the soft palate, the hard palate, the base of your brain, the crown of your head. So boom, 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 boom. Imagine all of those diaphragms are parallel with each other here in this double-headed dragon shape. And now imagine that those dragons want to touch noses on either side of you. So let that dragon head come out to touch noses on either side of you. And now compare that to just crunching your rib cage toward your hip. So in a way, we're just moving from the middle, crunch, crunch, and then moving from the ends, dragon heads, double-headed dragon kind of touching either side. Again, move from the middle, crunch, crunch, and then move from either end, double-headed dragon touching noses to the side and the other side. And now imagine that double-headed dragon wants to touch noses underneath you and behind you, above you. Imagine it wants to touch noses underneath you and above you. And now move from the middle end. So arching the back and then dropping the belly. Arching the back, dropping the belly. And now move from that endedness, double-headed dragon, touching noses underneath you, and then letting that head come out and up to touch noses above you. Do that a couple times. And then move from the inside, arching the back, dropping the belly, and then move from your double-headed dragon. And now have a couple, maybe 30 seconds of playtime, letting that double-headed dragon just kind of dance, rock and roll, leading from your endedness. And compare that to leading from the middle. So playing with just leading from the middle, and then leading from that double-headed dragon. Playtime. And notice if there's any difference between moving from your ends versus moving from the middle. It's not that one way is right or wrong, but rather that you get to build your repertoire of movement based on your experience in these movements and what feels free to you for the task at hand, right? So if I'm doing these movements as a way to prepare myself for singing or to explore some sound making, then I get to decide what type of movement feels the most supportive to free myself in such a way that I can make sound freely without strain. So I hope this adds some new playfulness and some new ways of exploring movement to your movement repertoire. I hope you'll let me know how this exploration is going for you. Please let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.